All right, man. Let's speak on this. Some of y'all probably already seen this. Some of y'all probably already heard this. But apparently, there is some unreleased Kendrick Lamar songs being leaked online, including Baby Keem demos and other collabs. Um, I don't feel like reading all this. I think Future Fantastic Hip Hop did a video about this, and we gonna just listen to it. But apparently, there's several leaked songs out there. Do they actually have those songs? Let's see. Uh, let's just go to Fantastic Hip Hop because he broke it down.
Illiterate to get this across. I mean, Kendrick didn't just send Drake back to the pack out video that you will ever see for the people that keep trying to give Drake any power back that he lost. And so what I will say with all of this is to be sure to leave a like and subscribe because it helps me out a ton, and all across the board, and especially around these losers, things are getting crazy, scary, spooky, and hilarious. And I'm not gonna waste any time, so leave a like for that so everybody can see how with the Drake stands currently, well honestly, I always knew that the Drake fans didn't like me and I've been dissed by them and that they have tried to do all of these weird things to me and my takes, and you know, this has been a thing for pretty much anybody who has just liked good music and who has spoke out, not even against them, but just spoke out for the truth. Well, even with all of that, I am at a point now where I honestly don't even care about that per se, or anything else that these people may try to do, because you know what? What I have seriously found out yesterday about all of this fan base as a whole is that, and just wait a second if you can't believe this, they can't read. Like, they are actually illiterate. Let me explain. So what we found out is that the Drake stands don't actually possess the basic ability to look at words that are put in a sentence or statement and then just decipher what those words coming together are trying to formulate in thought or unison. And so let's just get into what all of this centers around, which are some new leaks that have been found and put out by none other than Kendrick Lamar. And honestly, I didn't listen to all of them yet, but from what I heard and what I do know is that there is some Baby Keem reference tracks here, but if you heard them or if you understand how any of this rap stuff works, Kendrick Lamar is the one making the reference tracks and not the other way around. But despite that, and despite the headlines clearly stating this, which once again, before we go any further, I'm just going to clarify for anybody that this means that Kendrick Lamar's vision is the one guiding Baby Keem's and not the other way around. Well, you know, honestly, this is so baffling. I'm just going to show you some of the replies, quotes, and gotcha moments that OVO tried to have with this. But yeah, you can see this for yourself and genuinely understand how, despite the reporting to clearly tell you that Kendrick made the reference tracks for Baby Keem and not the other way around, Drake fans have went so far and desperate that they have lowered their reading level to try and pretend and create a false narrative on Kendrick Lamar to try and just make people believe lies that Baby Keem writes his lyrics, and so that you can share the awful diss from Family Matters, which I will say now that we are here on a quick side note, that this thing has always been so terrible, and I laughed when it dropped because it was so bad and confusing then, because again, Baby Keem was playing Minecraft when Kendrick Lamar dropped Good Kid, Mad City, and all of this is just an even worse take now, because seriously, to actually try and flip and use this as a gotcha moment and try to post a line of saying that Kendrick stuff is only hitting when Baby Keem puts his pen to it, this is not just wrong, but it's delusional and honestly has me concerned. And so with that, when we look at just where we are at in this era where rap and its fan base has split into these two sides pretty much, I just want to sit here and question what's brought me to the point I am at today of just confusion as a whole, which is just for the Drake stands. What are we even doing if you are Team OVO? Because seriously, what we are seeing here is reaching levels and lows that now you are going to try and get any sort of a win on Kendrick Lamar, that while you have thrown out any dignity or integrity that you have possibly still had. Because seriously, to break this down for you, to know that the information is that Kendrick Lamar laid out the reference tracks for Baby Keem, and then to spin that because you don't like Kendrick and spread the narrative everywhere to make him look bad and take down his reputation to your little circles however you possibly can by just flipping what happened, you all realize how insane this is and how just honestly horrible for everything that really is at large, even for the OVO community, despite you thinking this is a win. But I guess as you are Drake stans, this is kind of on brand, because to be willfully engaging in lying and narrative pushing that you know is false, and then at that all to try and take down another man's image and character however you can, and that's the cupcake way. But really in this process for Drake, and with some of the stuff where they made my voice sound like I was an Alvin in the Chipmunks, what I have realized in the greatest sense possible is that honestly for Drake, while having a stan base in terms of just making sure that you are the most annoying version of yourself that you can be beneficial for the artist if we look at what it means in terms of them being a heel or some sort to the music industry at large. For Drake, it's really not even that, because he has some of the worst stans and fans that you ever could have, because with at least some of the fan bases that are a net negative for the music industry, they are effective at being annoying. And what I mean by that is that if they are beefing with another artist, they can actually dig up something that can discredit them or that they can use as a gotcha moment on them. But for the Drake stans, they're not even agents of chaos like this. And to get to the point where Kendrick leaks come out and you just try to misread the words of the reporting and drop in your reading level and competency ability for a win, and then again, it's not just a few doing this, but the entire fan base is all just acting literally illiterate to get this across. I mean, Kendrick didn't just send Drake back to the Cosmics, but he needs to send all of you back to the library, as this is just embarrassing, dishonest, and ignorant. And you know, while the Drake stans have acted now like they are not able to read, the things and problems we are seeing do not stop here, as beyond all that, well, what else has made me sit here and say, you know what, I am no longer gonna hold back on everything, is what has been happening around the GNX tour, which pretty much after every single show on this tour since it started, the Drake fans keep trying to act like Kendrick can't sell out stadiums, and that he's flopping, and that his career is in a terrible place, and that the an embarrassing tour. Meanwhile, when every time the shows happen, the arenas don't just fill out to new heights, but every time we see the actual revenue reports, Kendrick is earning the same amount that Beyonce is for shows as opposed to Drake, who is earning a quarter of it. And so despite that, and with these stands keep trying to act like they were seats in places there never were, and people were pushed out of them, and all of these other things that would make the tour look bad if they were true, we've been on three legs of the tour. We've seen it run well, and we've seen Kendrick dominate everywhere. And with that, it just gets to a point where you need to give it up, because again, if you didn't like Kendrick and you were trying to be an agent of chaos to discredit him, and this was true, you would have your gotcha moment. And I guess for that, good for you. I guess it means something. But unfortunately for you stands, it's not real, and you're literally twisting the fabric of reality and spreading news and stories that just never happened in any of the things that we have seen once. And really, to try and do this night in and night out to make Kendrick Lamar look bad and like a fraud, you know what you honestly have done? Well, is in conjunction with this, when everybody sees that night after night, Kendrick Lamar is selling out all of these shows, and he is now on pace to have the biggest rap tour of all time. Yes, I said all time. Nobody's believing these wild stories that you are putting out there, and it gets to a point where for Drake and his fans, and I think this is telling of the entire state of OVO, you have become the ultimate joke and the ultimate force that commands no respect, as after starting out as Drake stands, you have failed to hate on Kendrick rightfully so much, and you have had no grounds to get off any of the criticism that you have tried to over and over again, that you have flanderized yourselves to the point where you are nothing but an absolute joke to everybody. And it's not just because you lost to another rapper and you're not over it as an entire group, fan base, and collective, but it's because you have set up these Tom and Jerry Scooby-Doo-like endings where you just keep making the worst plans possible to discredit and take away everything from your opponents. And when you're caught and when you're exposed, you keep looking worse and worse every time, to the point where it just does seem cartoonish at this point. And so really now, as pretty much everything that involves the Drake fandom and OVO, people just assume the opposite is the reality of it. That's how bad this has gotten. But when you know that Drake and OVO have stans who are way too connected to this whole thing and that explore Drake and Kendrick's entire personal lives in a way that I just have to say, we're here for the music and the stuff that affects it. When you have people trying to find weird things about Kendrick Lamar's personal life that he keeps private, you think it would all stop. But why it doesn't and why it never will is because for Drake, when he rewards people that are named after cars, and that's all I'm gonna say about that, you can put the pieces together, but I'm not gonna mention any names and give any clout chasers any clout. But when you give these people who are named after cars hoodies and sweatshirts, it's pretty much a token of saying thank you for lying on my behalf. It's no wonder these people keep continuing to do these whack and shameful things, and why they are spiraling to levels we have never seen, because at the end of the day, they are doing this all in the name of Cupcake Drake and to get whatever sad validation and acknowledgement they can get from the biggest crash out in the music industry, as really all of these stands just work together to create a further and further bubble of delusion. And I guess the consolation prize is that you can hang out with Gordo or Smiley. But again, I'm not mentioning any names. But, you know, for me to see this and do what I do, which is document the way the rap world is moving and changing, especially from the biggest and most important players within it, for better and for worse, I'm at a point where I'm tired of stands failing this hard and this much, because to just see, especially the whole reading incident, I am going to call it, I feel like I have seen enough, and I have seen it all, because to really just see grown people lower their reading levels and twist basic wording to try and make Kendrick Lamar look bad, I gotta take a break or something. I can't deal with this, because just to see the effects of this, even in terms of what it projects onto Drake and the false confidence it gives him every day, somehow it's just never gonna stop. And so overall in hip-hop, we just need to accept at this point that anybody who reps Drake to the level that we have seen, well, they are so haunted and forever messed up by everything that he did to change the course of rap forever, and of course end Drake's run like we have never seen a run get ended before, like, that they are just obsessed with trying to make up anything about his downfall. And when it comes to just being obsessed with themselves and standing on anything they believe, well, the OVO fans would rather stare in the mirror and pretend that they are illiterate.
This is crazy. Several unreleased Kendrick Lamar songs have reportedly surfaced online, including multiple references tracks for Baby King. So these stupid motherfuckers, this post further proves my theory. Y'all did not do them books report, G. People trying to say this proves someone's point when it literally disproves it. I thought y'all were lawyers and experts. Motherfuckers was literally trying to use this as if Baby Keem had reference tracks for Kendrick. And when you read it, it says Kendrick songs surfaced, including reference tracks for, not from, for. The Ovhoes was running with the narrative as if Baby Keem was making reference tracks for Kendrick, or that the reference tracks that were leaked were from Baby Keem to help Kendrick. No, that's not the case. These leaked songs were reference tracks for Baby Keem. Not for Kendrick, they were for Baby Keem, Ovhoes.
And can't read and decipher basic information, then actually just try to not discredit Kendrick Lamar in any way they possibly can. And if this is where we are at, and this is the precedent that has been set, I don't know. I don't got the answers for what to do, but somebody needs to step back. But you know
Try
what?
again.
For a quick moment, as everything just gets figured out and people have time to just laugh about this, and I guess see
Try
how
again.
the Drake stands really are, that's exactly what I'm going to do. Because for the Drake stands, it's nice to just live in reality and read words.
Try again.
The bar for conversation has become this low. It's time for a change. And I was going to quote some lines from Meet the Grams to close this all out, but I'm sure they'll fail to read them, so I'm just going to leave this all here. And with all this said, let me.
All right, so try again. So The Drake Ovhoes tried to flip the track songs that was leaked and tried to say that those were reference tracks for Kendrick Lamar from Baby King when it wasn't. Try again.